It is 10:30 on the night before Thanksgiving, and there's supposed to be a big storm coming in, and it's supposed to last for a couple of days with a lot of ice. So just wanted to show you that if you want to keep this thing dry, you gotta, I've been out here for the last hour and a half trying to get it buttoned down, and part of the weakest spots of tarping something that already has the walls up is wall cavities. So I'm not even positive this will hold, but that's just showing you that sometimes you got to put a little extra effort into trying to protect it. Did the same thing down here, and good Lord's willing, all that'll hold up. You know, there's already plastic underneath, and it's all painted, but that's to protect the work that I've already done. So happy Thanksgiving. Okay, good morning. Actually, good afternoon. It's about a week after Thanksgiving, and it's time to start framing the big wall. Had to make an emergency trip to Colorado over Thanksgiving holidays, so the whole project's been shut down for at least 2 weeks. Anyway, today I wanted to show you a trick when you're building a header. Sometimes your header material is not great, and today I bought 5 boards and paid for 4, got the fifth one free because it was so cupped. So what I want to do is show you how to fix the cupped part in a board. And what I've done here is I've already cut my headers. The big header I have for the slide out that I'm building is already done and outside. This header is for the kitchen. So it's a 3-foot header. So I had to cut the length of it 39 inches. So I cut it 39 inches this way. And then if you look real close, you can see, let me turn this camera down. You can see just how cupped this board is. It's, you know, and it's, if I tried to nail it together, I could probably do it, but it would split. So to kind of control that, I made 3 cuts here, and on this board I made 2 cuts. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but what I wanted to do is kind of alternate the cuts. So these 3 will wind up here. Now, what I'm hoping, okay, so now you can see basically what I did. You can see where these cuts have squeezed together. Here. This one, it will squeeze together, but actually I started that one twice, so it has a little bit wider gap. And I put the nails in between so they didn't go down and hit, you know, the joint below. Now you can still see it if you come down here and look. This side looks horrible. So we'll see if we can make this whole thing come together. It is a little extra trouble, but if your boards are so cupped, you have to do something sometimes to make it right. Okay, in a few videos back, I told you I would show you a way to nail stuff if you didn't have a nail gun, and a lot of people don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do it. Easier ways than just grabbing a nail and starting to pound. So what this is one is going to use the palm nailer, okay, which you can buy for $35. It's not completely designed for 16-penny nails, but there's a way you can do it and make it work. The other is using a cordless drill. This is a Craftsman drill. All my old employees had better drills. They had Porter cables and DeWalt's, and that's fine, but I've had the same Craftsman drill for over 10 years, and it's done great. Matter of fact, now I think I have 3 of the same drills. But what you do is, this one you can see, if you look real close, it's got about an 1/8 inch bit, maybe a slightly bigger bit, but it's so we can drill a hole in here and put the nail in first. So I'm going to switch the camera around, and then we'll do that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take this drill, and I'm going to drill 4 holes, because on a 2x12 board you want at least 4 nails. Some people say 5. I'm using 4, and what I'm going to do is drill. And you don't have to drill all the way through. You're just trying to drill enough to get your nail started, kind of hold the nail. Really, what I usually do when I do something like this is I just try to drill through the first board. Okay, now the purpose of this is to make putting these in easier. And sometimes what you'll wind up with is a broken nail clip, and you can get those things free. Whoops, sorry about that. And what we'll do is we'll take one, take it, place it in that hole, and first with just a hammer, you can see how much easier it is, because you don't have to try to hold the nail. It's going to go exactly where you want it, and you won't get your finger smashed. And that is just with a trim hammer. Now the second one I'm going to do with the palm nailer. Excuse me. We'll put that in there. And with the palm nailer, it's much easier. Just put it on. Done. So, you know, truthfully, you can do it a couple of different ways. You don't even have to break the whole thing off. You take it, leave it on the plastic clip, push it down in there, take your palm. Probably easier to break it off. So there you go. There's some alternative ways to nail if you don't have a nailer gun. But you can see our header has turned out pretty good. Everything has turned out straight. You know, as I was clamping it down, you'll have to forgive the air compressor. As I was clamping it down, I can hear it cracking and popping. But it will be sufficient, you know, strength to hold the few boards that are going to be above that window. So that's how you do a header. Okay, hello. This is not the beginning of part 4, but this is a pretty integral part. We're going to explain a little bit on how to frame a wall. And when you frame a wall, you have to lay out the plates. And what this is a bottom plate and a top plate. And so basically what you do first is you cut your plates to length. So you would like hook the wall here and measure all the way down to the other wall at the other end. And in this case, we already know that it's about 18 feet long. Now, in a wall, there's going to be numerous different things going on. Like in this wall, there's going to be a window right here. There's going to be an intersecting wall right here. And then you have a breaker box here where these wires are coming through the floor. And then in this entire area, there's going to be a slide out. And in most cases, you might not do a slide out. You might just do like a sliding patio door or a big 6-foot window. In this case, we're doing a slide out on both sides of the cabin. So what I've done is started laying out the wall. Now I measured from there to this point right here where I already popped out the bathroom walls. You can see this is the inside of the wall. This is where this wall intersects it. And so what I have is I've marked, this is called a corner, where you have a stud on each side of the wall, and then you have a 3.5-inch board that mirrors this wall, so you can nail into it. So you have 1.5 inches, 3.5, because it's a 3.5-inch wall, and then another 1.5 inches. And I go ahead and mark these. So this is a regular stud mark, and this is a stud mark, and then I usually put CC, which back in the day meant California corner. This is just going to be a standard corner, but it tells me that I need to put a board flat right there with 2 boards here. Now, when I was laying this out, I realized that one of the studs was going to fall right where the breaker box is. So I put a C here, and that tells me that it's going to be a cripple. Now if you turn around there and look above that window, see those little boards on top? Those are called cripples. And if you look below the window, those short boards are called trimmers. So we're going to frame this just like you would, nearly like you would frame a window. So I'll mark this and put a C there. Now here on each side of a window or door you'll have a king stud, and on the inside of that you'll have a shorter board which is called a trimmer, and you designate that with a K for the king. And then if your opening is more than about 5 feet, the code probably says 6 feet, you want to put a double trimmer to support that big header. So here's our double trimmers and our king stud. So we'll come down to the other end and we have the same thing here. And I've already marked this. So here's our California corner, one stud on the end, one board flat. That gives me a board here and a board flat here, so I have something to nail my drywall on. That's why this board here is like so. It gives you something to nail into this wall, and it gives you a board here to nail your drywall onto. So then from the inside of this trimmer to inside of that trimmer is a specific dimension. But the header, if you look up that big board that's up there, we're going to build one just like that. And those right now only have a single trimmer, but I'm going to be adding 2 more. The header will go from the king stud to the other king stud. I'll give you an example. Right here is a header that I've already built. This one is obviously built out of used lumber. It is a 2 2x8s with a piece of plywood in the middle to give it the correct spacing. So now that I've laid out this bathroom wall, you notice here that I also put a California corner. But all this is really going to be is backing for the drywall on the bathtub. So the bathtub is typically 32 inches wide. So I come here, my 32, I put a board here, flat in the wall. That way I'll have my shower, and then I'll have a place to nail the drywall. So that's what that designates. These are just your regular common studs, 16 inches on center, with your California corner here and your stud on the end. Now, between this edge of the bathtub and this bathroom wall is where I want to place this window. So here's my header already pre-cut. I cut it an inch bigger, but typically if your window is 2.0, a 2.0 window, that's 24 inches, plus your trimmer, that's 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, that's 3, which will give you 27 inches. I'm going 28 because I may decide to go with a all wood window, which the casing makes it a little bit bigger. We'll see, we'll decide that later. But for now, we're gonna frame it. Do I wanna be perfectly right here? I don't really care. Truthfully, I've got a stud here and I've got a stud here. So I'll mark this stud, and what I'll do is I'll make this a king stud and I'll make this one a trimmer. Okay? So then I make my 1.5 inch mark here and here. That tells me exactly where I want to put my boards. So here's the width of my header. I don't normally do it this way, but I'm just showing you. So I'll come here, and that tells me where to put my king stud and my trimmer. Here's my 3-inch mark, my 0 mark, trimmer, king stud, trimmer, king stud. This board in the middle is a cripple and a trimmer. This will go underneath. It'll be a board sits on top of this. So when we frame the wall, this wall, it'll look like that one. So that's pretty much everything in the wall. That's our backing for the bathtub, our corner, our regular studs, our cripple, our trimmers, king stud. The only thing now is we got to make sure we have a place for this wire to come through. And my son, who is filming today, already drilled these holes for the wires to come through. So hopefully everything will match up, and he and I will start framing this wall. And we're going to frame it in a way that if you were by yourself and you could not raise the entire wall, we're going to stick frame it a stick at a time. So this is where we start. We'll put this board on top of these wires first, and then we'll start putting in the pieces. And that's it for now. Hi. Okay, I'm going to show you now how to calculate your trimmer height. You can do it all with math, but you first have to know how to figure it. How do I figure out what this board needs to be? Okay, so I've decided to make this wall 101 inches, plus the 3 of the plates. And there'll be a double plate up there, so this wall will be about 105 inches when we're done. But for this sake, you just need to know that the studs are 101 inches long. Okay, so if you look here, and if you can imagine this stud here is 101 inches, you need to measure the width of this and subtract it from this to give you your trimmer. So here you can see that I've already started doing this. The studs are 101 inches. The header is 11 inches light. Now that's basically 10 and 15/16, but I didn't want to write all that. So what we do is we measure this, and you can see that it's 1/16 shy of 11 inches. Okay? If we measure this one though, and it's 11 1/8, well, that's kind of a problem because you want the header to be the same thickness. Otherwise you have a space up there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the trimmers. Well, I don't like to end a video this way, but we ran out of memory on our phone, so sitting here at my desk in my office, and the end of that video is just basically telling you that I was going to cut the trimmers 101 inches minus the 11 inches light, and that's basically how you calculate your trimmer height. You would like to just figure it every time, you know, hoping that the wood is the same dimension, but it's not. So you always want to check the width of your header. And in our next video, we now have all the walls up, but it's Christmas time, and so we are going on vacation, see my grandson and son up in